This is Kevin from Walk the Moon. I play bass and I sing a little bit. Most of the influence for the name, at the time, back in the MySpace days, as we call it, you try and figure out your band name, and then you go on MySpace and search and see if it's taken already, and that process probably happened about 200, 300 times, and kept running into dead ends with names. And at the time, I think the Police were kind of playing in the background, and Walking on the Moon came on, and it just was kind of a spur of the moment thing, and sparked a little idea for a name. And went on MySpace, checked it out. No, it wasn't taken. And that the rest is history. We've never covered it. I don't know if it's like, we might jinx ourselves or something if we try and cover the namesake song. But yeah, a lot of the Police songs. Sting's one of the most unique and talented vocalists of all time, I think. And trying to reproduce a Police song, especially that, is pretty challenging. I think we used to cover Roxanne back in the day, but that was as far as we got with trying to sing like Sting, you know. I think as far as the Police influence, I think you could say yes. Police is a huge influence, especially that time period. Anything from the late 70s to the late 80s was big for us. So I think in that sense, our name kind of, yeah, it's tough to say. I don't know if our name necessarily describes our sound in those three words. I don't know how you would come up with that. I think it's tough to put us into a genre. It's tough to put yourself into a genre. I think whenever we're asked to kind of come up with a genre for our own music, we say something to the effect of like sort of indie pop, party, dance music. It's like rock and roll with synthesizers. We really like to have a fun time, and especially like I think the live aspect of Walk the Moon is the main focus, and so I think what we do live describes our sound, describes who we are the best, because we just we've been playing music for a long time, either on our own or together as a band, and that's where people usually find out about us and hop on board and stick with us. So yeah, I think it's all about the live thing for us. Well, we put out the self-titled album in the middle of the year last year, and so we've been kind of itching to put out some new stuff. We're always writing, and we're always kind of experimenting with new tracks live, and so I think some people, some audiences are getting to know our new stuff before it's even recorded, so we really wanted to put out some new things. So Tightrope is going to be the second single, and so surrounding that, we wanted to give ourselves the opportunity to put out a couple new tracks. Those being a track called Drunk in the Woods and a track called Tet a Tet. Along with that, we wanted to give ourselves a chance to re-release a B-side from the album called Any Way I Can. And then we thought we'd throw a live recording of one of our favorite Talking Heads songs, Burning Down the House, in there with it. So and also an acoustic version of Tightrope. So it's kind of a nice little post-album EP to kind of hold people over to the next album, I think. Well, we were, like I was saying, we like to try out new music on audiences. The live thing being so important to us, we want to, when we come up with a new idea, we like to play it and see what happens and see if people dig it. And we've been playing those two tracks, Drunk in the Woods and Tete-a-Tete, for a while now. And so we had a day off in LA on our last tour, and decided to book a studio and go in there and just knock out a few recordings, and that's what we ended up with. And decided, why not package the new single with some new stuff to kind of give people some fans who have been listening for a while, give them some new tracks to keep them going until we get to the next album. Oh yeah, we playing it for a while, and we continue to play new things that nobody's heard before, or just experimenting with stuff that we've been writing in sound checks or in the bus or whatever. And I think as a fan, I would love it if a band tried out a brand new song on a concert that I was at. So we like to keep it interesting and see what people's reactions are to brand new music. Yeah, we've Talking Heads are by far the biggest musical influence to this band. And we've been covering Talking Heads songs for a long time, and Burning Down the House probably the longest. That's one of our favorite songs of all time collectively, and one of our favorite songs to play for other people. And it's been, morphing over time the way we cover it, and it's kind of fell into its own. And we've played it many times, and people keep enjoying it more and more as we play it. And so we thought, why not put a recording of it in, out there in the world, for people to have on their own, because we think we have a pretty fun version of it, that people might appreciate. Well, part of it is just the fact that we've been doing this so long. We've all been on the road for such a long time. I think I've been on the road in some form or another for the past 5 years. And then last year was the busiest year of our lives. We spent at least 300 days on the road last year, and plan to do no less this year. And it's the majority of it is all just the support system back home. Our families all support us and love to help out in any way they can, and they would rather us be doing this than anything else. So and our family on the road, not just the guys in the band, but our tour manager, our sound guy, our tech, our merch guy. We all get along like a family, and a crazy demented family that lives in a bus. But it's the best time. You gotta break it up. You gotta kind of have some variety, and you gotta have some friends out on the road with you, and plenty of support back home, because you gotta have something to come back home to. You gotta be looking forward to the next time you get home. I think that helps. Really, any free hour or two that we get, we try and make the most of it. London. We've got a little work to do, but then we've got the rest of the day off, and I think we're all going to take advantage of that and go out and see some sights. And it's just days like that pop up every once in a while that really help break up the monotony. I'm looking forward to getting back to Germany. Last time we were in Germany, we made a lot of great friends there, and we all really love food in Germany, so that's one of the main reasons we can't get back to eat some bratwurst and drink some good German beer and all that. And Australia is a place that none of us have ever been or even thought we'd ever get to go to. So that if there's any free time at all, we're going to do whatever we can to make the most of that trip for sure. Well, heat, especially in this climate right now. People have been standing outside waiting for hours and freezing. So we make sure to get plenty hot inside the venue. Let's see, what do we bring to the live show? I think it's not just about us. It's about how we interact with the audience. The audience is such a big integral part of the live experience, and maybe they don't even realize it. Because a good audience kind of fuels our fire and gives us a reason to pour our hearts into each show. And if the audience is great, which they almost all the time are, then I think the whole experience is going to be unique in its own way. We don't have a big light show. We don't have like anything flying in from the rafters or 20 musicians on stage. It's just a rock band and some loud amplifiers and drums and things and a great interaction with the audience. We like to think that we're not just up on stage playing for some people. We're really like, if we could be out in the audience playing with them and dancing along with them, that'd be ideal, because it's just a big dance party. When we made our music video for the song Anna Sun, we were trying to come up with ideas for the influence, the vibe of the video, and one thing we kept coming back to was the Lost Boys from the movie Hook, and how they would paint their faces before they went to battle. It was a really, really interesting idea, and somebody suggested putting face paint on in the music video. And then when we decided to release a music video and release our first independent album back in Cincinnati, we decided to have face paint at the show, and we put large canvases up on the wall and just had paint. People could splatter on the canvases, and paint was kind of a big part of it. And we didn't realize how we'd started this thing, but people started to come to every show with face paint or art they had made with paint. And it became a way for us to interact with audience members before a show, especially at a show where we might be opening up for a bigger band and nobody had a clue who we were. We just walk around the audience and start painting faces and get to know people and talk to people, and I think it produces this connection, this really unique connection that's pivotal if you're an opening band, because you want people to have some kind of knowledge of you before you go on stage, and it's perfect when you can look out into an audience that you've never played to before, and half of them have face paint on, and they kind of feel connected. It's really nice. Yeah, Cincinnati. I don't know. Cincinnati's not the first name, and when you think of um, like musical epicenters in the U.S. You usually think of New York and Chicago and L.A. and Nashville and things like that. But Cincinnati is it's a little off of the main touring, like a national touring path. But it's I think in return for that, it's created its own special music environment, like extra supportive music scene, and there are tons and tons of bands, not just bands, but there's an amazing art scene and fashion scene in Cincinnati, and everyone is aware of each other and wants to see each other do well, and so there's no reason why we wouldn't have Cincinnati supporting us for the rest of our career. Because we support Cincinnati as much as we can, and there's some great artists that really deserve to be heard of. I think one in particular is an artist called Bad Veins, who just came out with an album recently and has played a few shows with us here and there, and they play with Two Door Cinema Club when Two Door is in the U.S., and they're a fantastic band, and hopefully people will be hearing about them soon, because they could definitely be the next thing to come out of Cincinnati that people really pay attention to. Well, Nick, our singer, formed the band in college, at Kenyon College in Ohio, in 2008, I believe. And up to that point, it was just a fun thing they were doing in college and playing around Ohio and whatnot. But when he graduated college, the other members kind of went their own way and got jobs and grew up and things like that. And Nick needed somebody to kind of come in and help out and start playing instruments. And I know Nick because our moms are best friends, and we grew up together as little play dates when we were toddlers. And I hadn't spoken to him in like 15 years. And out of the blue, I got a call from him saying, "Hey, I heard you went to music school and you play guitar, and I really need someone to fill in on some dates and play music with." And so I came down, and I eventually brought in Sean, our drummer, who was a friend of mine that I've never been in a band that Sean wasn't in. Sean is an incredible drummer, and I knew immediately that I had to introduce him to Nick. And Eli had another band in Cincinnati. Eli's just a prodigious guitar player from Cincinnati that we was a force to be reckoned with, and we couldn't ignore him. We kept coming back to Eli. Had to have Eli in the band. So I think it was about 2 years ago, just a little over 2 years ago, that we finally decided on this lineup, and we just haven't stopped since. It's definitely a different world that we just aren't a part of and don't really know much about. But there's something to be said for the songwriters that write massive pop smash hits, and that is definitely a job I wish I could excel at and had a chance to do. And you can't ignore a fantastic riff. You can't ignore a fantastic pop song, and whatever form it ends up coming in, whether it be a boy band or a massive pop vocalist or some solo artist or something. It's to each his own, and if people follow that, that's I can't blame them. I love pop music. We write pop music. We write rock and roll, but it's definitely singable and it's pop music, and it's some senses, it's not too far off from that kind of idea. So, you know, I don't own a One Direction album. I can tell you that. I don't think so. I just don't. I don't think any of us operate like that. I don't think that's an option. And I think that's what sets the bands that are doing it and making it happen from the bands that don't do it and give up, because quitting just isn't an option. I think the key to success as an unsigned indie artist is, you just got to keep doing it. And if you've got the material, if you've got the music, if you've got the songs, then it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of getting the right people to listen to you. And if you're just doing it constantly, you will eventually be in the right place at the right time. And I fully believe in that. Because there's a reason that bands become successful. It's because they stick together and they write great music. And I don't think there would ever be a way that we would give this up or throw in the towel. That's just not even an option. We love what we do. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. Like, we've been working so hard for a little bit longer in the U.S. and then we got the chance to start playing shows over in the UK, and it takes you right back to where we were a year or two ago, playing for 45 people in Notting Hill Arts Club. That was like our first London gig, and you gotta remind yourself that we've got to do this. We've got to go back to our the roots. We got to keep pounding away, and it'll pay off. And it has. I mean, last night we played for 800 people in London, and it's just a constant reminder that we're doing what we love to do, and we must be doing something right. So let's just keep going. And even though we're in a bus and we've got 40 tour dates and a big crew back in the States, we get over here and we hop in the van, and it's just us and our own gear, and we're trudging our way through the whole of Europe, playing little tiny gigs. It kind of puts things in perspective and keeps it real, and keeps reminding you that you gotta go through this, and people are gonna appreciate that, and we're gonna appreciate that people keep coming to shows over and over again and supporting us through the rest of our career. Because we're four of the hands down the sexiest men ever to come out of America. No, we love what we do. We have a ton of fun doing it, and we have a ton of fun playing music. And if people are interested, don't just stop at buying the music or just listening to music or stealing the music or whatever you feel like doing. Come out to a show and experience like the whole entire thing. Like, I think we were put here on this earth to be a tiny little part in the effort to keep live music popular and fun and new, and keep it going, because live music can never stop. It can never die. It will never die. And that's definitely what we do best, for sure.